Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started with this webinar. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, depending on where you are from. My name is Ethan Dang. I am the product line manager here at Ingenious Technologies. And today I really want to talk about one of our latest product lines, the EAS Server Series. This is a very significant expansion from our product portfolio because it is a data center server series. The objective of this webinar is to build awareness of how Ingenious is addressing the evolving demands of enterprise and data center infrastructures, also to provide you with a technical understanding of the EAS server series and its architectures, as well as its key features, and to help you evaluate how these servers can really fit into your specific deployment demands or needs, especially with AI workloads becoming popular, virtualization, as well as enterprise databases. By the end of this webinar, you should really have a strong sense of what the EAS server is and how it can be applied to your environment and why they're built for today's data-driven world. So without further ado, let's get started. Just to go over today's agenda, it should be about 40 to 50 minutes long with a Q&A session at the end. I will start off with an overview, some industry trends and challenges to explain kind of why Ingenious has created the EAS server series, and then really dive deep into the series itself, as well as its server management platform, and then the deployment use cases. So to start off with Ingenius's portfolio and why we even developed the EAS server series, we have to go back to how data is really being generated. With our latest AI cameras, all that data is being fed into these cameras as data and then being sent to our ECW access points. And from there, it's going to be transferred to a modem or a router to send all that data to a private cloud network. Within the private cloud network, Ingenious also has solutions like the VPN router, the ESG620, as well as network switches, ESC2552FP. And all that data is going to be sent to the server where all the AI inferencing, all the data is being processed and stored. And that's kind of the reason why Ingenious has developed the EAS server, is because we're building an end-to-end solution to really help our audience and customers grow from just grabbing the data from an AI surveillance to even grabbing networks and now computing all that data. So with that in mind, let's talk about the industry trends and challenges. In data center infrastructures, especially with private cloud, there are a lot of different trends that are happening in the world, as well as different pain points that a lot of data center professionals are going through. So the first one is high performance AI demands. We're seeing a humongous explosion and boom of AI workloads like Gen AI, LLM training, and inferencing. And all of these different types of technologies really require high performance acceleration through hardware. And that's really where the EAS service steps in to provide that computational performance to process all these highly resource intensive workloads. Next is the expansion of private and hybrid clouds. So we're going from a lot of public cloud data infrastructures, and now enterprises are looking to expand into the private cloud where they can really control and monitor and have a lot of privacy with their data, especially with the growing sessions where there's a lot of data breaches and a lot of privacy needed for data. Next, we have minimizing costly vendor lock-in. Current infrastructures or traditional server infrastructures really lock you into their architectures. And with this new concept called OCP by the Open Compute Project, they're really opening up the ability for you to modularize and have the flexibility to easily scale and future-proof your servers. With this chart from Gartner, a very reputable marketing firm or research firm, their hype cycle for artificial intelligence of 2025 shows that all these different types of AI workloads, like at the very bottom there, cloud AI services and generative AI, are really going through the slope of enlightenment and the trough of disillusionment. So you're really seeing that all these different types of AI technologies that have been really, really hyped up are now entering this phase where they're slowing down, realizations kicking in, and now enterprises are really figuring out how to use this and eventually reach the plateau of productivity. And this is coming in really, really fast. This is not something that you're looking at 5 to 6 years out. It's happening within the 2 to 5 year range. So enterprises are really adopting and incorporating these different types of AI technologies at a very rapid pace. We keep hearing multimodal AI as well as AI agents, and that's really at the top of the hype cycle because all these potential can be shown for enterprise use cases. And as it's going through the whole entire hype cycle, it'll eventually reach that plateau of productivity as well. And if you look on the left of this chart here, you're really seeing a bunch of different types of AI workloads and AI technologies that are really entering its innovation trigger. These AI technologies are really continuously being developed and meeting the demand for even more advanced AI technologies. So there is a continuous growth in AI no matter what happens. With that being said, now that you kind of understand the industry challenges and trends, let's dive into the EAS server series and talk about why how it is alleviating and addressing these challenges that enterprise IT data center professionals are facing. So before we get started with the server itself, I really want to talk about what the EAS server is addressing. First, it's really optimized for high performance computing, virtualization, and databases. It's utilizing the latest Intel Xeon 6 processor, DDR5 RAM, as well as PCIe Gen 5 to deliver the performance needed for all these type of workloads. So the EAS server is really well equipped for data center or private cloud networks. Next, we're really leveraging the scalable OCP architecture. By being built on the DCMHS standard, you're really able to modularize and scale with a very low total cost of ownership. So you're able to future-proof your server without having that possibility of being locked in by a vendor. Next, you have Ingenious has a very comprehensive server solution. We're not just selling you a server or providing you with a server solution. We're also having the ability to incorporate a smart NIC that we've introduced for very high bandwidth networking capabilities, as well as a server management platform, which we call EDCC. And that is really what builds an entire data center solution to begin with. And so we're not just providing you with the hardware and saying good luck. We're really providing you with a full solution so that you are well equipped with all the data center necessities. So without further ado, let's really dive into the technical features and explain what the EAS server is all about. With these key features, there's going to be 7 that I want to highlight. First is the form factor, then it's the compute, then the OCP, as well as all the different types of other requirements that server needs to operate in a data center. So first we have the form factor. The EAS2210 is a 2U form factor that supports up to 24 NVMe U.2 drives, which is really behind that bezel there on the top, and also up to 8 PCIe Gen 5 slots, which you can see at the far right here on the top, which allows for a lot of support and scalability to support different types of GPU accelerators, smart NICs, and any type of accelerators that are needed to run a data center workload. Additionally, it also has a lot of storage so that you're able to store all that high density data and be able to hot swap any of those data if a drive fails or if you really need to offload the data from the server. Next, we have an EAS1210, which is our 1U server. It's very, very slim and compact, which allows you to really fit it into a lot of space-constrained environments, especially when server racks may be full already. It comes with 12 NVMe U.2 drives, as well as 2 PCIe Gen 5 slots. And not to discount its lack of performance, but it really allows the enterprise or the organization to utilize all the necessities that are needed within a very compact solution. Now, jumping to the CPU, the EAS leverages a dual socket Intel Xeon 6 processor. And why that's important is because it is really allowing, um, well, Intel is allowing a lot of enterprises to now utilize their latest hybrid core architecture. With the Intel Xeon 6 processor, you're able to maximize P cores, which is performance cores for very resource-intensive workloads like AI and high-performance computing, and that will go up to 86 P cores per CPU. So you're able to get a lot of performance within one Intel Xeon 6 processor. Additionally, if you're not really looking for AI workloads and the highest performance CPU, we also have the capability to swap it out for an Intel Xeon 6 that emphasizes on E cores, which is efficiency cores. This is more for scalable, energy efficient microservices for like data virtualization and so on. And since the CPU really dictates how much RAM is supported, each processor or Intel Xeon 6 supports up to 16 DDR5 ECC RDIMMs. This means that with the tool 2 socket performance, you're able to get up to 32 slots, which can hit a capacity of 8 terabytes of DDR5 RAM. This is really ideal for large-scale virtualization, databases, or any type of workloads that need to access memory really quickly. And within the Intel Xeon processor, Intel has also included Intel AMX and DL Boost. And this really allows enterprises to utilize the CPU for very light AI workloads without really requiring a dedicated accelerator. So if you are an enterprise organization that's looking to add very light AI workloads that don't need a dedicated GPU or AI accelerator, the Intel Xeon or Intel Xeon 6 processor is able to meet those demands um, and provide the necessities for AI scaling. So now that we understand how the processor is utilized in the EAS server, let's talk about how the overall server is being built. We're really built on the DC MHS framework, which is what allows the EAS servers to be very standardized, modular, and flexible to all the different types of components that are needed. And this really prevents the customer from running into vendor lock-ins or any type of issues where a single part may be faulty and needs to be replaced. So to dive deep into the OCP DC MHS architecture, there are a few components that we're utilizing. First being the MCRPS, which is like modular common redundant power supply. This enables compatibility across platforms and ensures high efficiency with power supplies. And then next we have the MFLW HPM, which is modular full width host processor module. This really defines the CPU, which is the dual socket Intel Xeon 6 processors, and memory for modular replacement and upgrades. So as long as the memory and the CPU are pin-to-pin compatible, you're able to utilize this motherboard for different types of CPUs or switch it out to have a different variant. Another one is the OCP MPIC, which is Modular Power Interconnect Connector, which provides additional power that is from the PSU to the PCIe lanes. So if you have an AI accelerator that exceeds the standard 75 watt power budget, you're able to use the OCP MPIC to connect a separate power cable directly from the motherboard to power that AI accelerator. Next, we have the OCP NIC 3.0, and this really is the network interface card standard, which allows flexibility in adopting the latest high-speed networking technologies within a very compact footprint. And lastly, we have the DCSCM, which is the Data Center Secure Control Module. This really provides platform security management and as well as hardware root of trust. So you're able to get a TPM, the BCM, and all the different types of security and management software all added into a single card, which is very essential for servers and data centers. Now that we've broken down the OCP architecture, let's really talk about the performance that you're able to get outside of the CPU. So with PCIe Gen 5 expansion, you're really able to deliver very high speed connectivity and very high bandwidth for AI accelerators, GPUs, or even any type of high performance drives that are incorporated into the server. So the reason for PCI Gen 5 expansion is that you're able to get AI accelerator support, which requires massive bandwidth for real-time inferencing, network and virtualization, which really depends on high throughput NICs, as well as CXL 2.0 technologies, really allowing for memory pooling and coherent memory access across the CPU, GPU, and accelerators, so that you're not really copying the data. You're able to all work from a single pool of memory. And lastly, storage subsystems to support faster RAID controllers and NVMe drives if needed. Just to kind of give a comparison between PCIe Gen 5 versus PCIe Gen 4, you're moving from a 16 gig GTS to 32 GTS per lane. So you're actually doubling the performance with PCIe Gen 5. And within PCIe Gen 5 expansion, we have AI acceleration, which I really want to dive deep into. The EAS 2210 supports three PCIe Gen 5 by 16 or six PCIe Gen 5 by 8 full height 3/4 length for any type of low profile GPUs or AI accelerators, as well as one PCIe Gen 5 by 8 half height, half length, and as well as PCIe Gen 5 by 16. Oh, it should be, oh, right, full height, half length as well. So you're really seeing that the EAS 2210, the 2U version, can support a wide variety of different types of AI accelerators. While meanwhile, as the EAS 1210, the 1U version, really supports PCIe Gen 5 by 8 half height, half length, and PCIe Gen 5 by 16 full height, half length for very light AI workloads or just to process some very heavy networking virtualization. And the reason for AI accelerator support is because as AI becomes more prominent, like I said before, there is a need for more T-flops and TOPS. So there's very improved performance per watt efficiency. And all these AI accelerators are really purpose-built for AI. So having this capability to support these AI accelerators is really important. Also, there's a need for localizing LLMs. So by supporting all of these AI accelerators on-prem in a data center, you're able to deploy these LLMs with full control of your data as well as privacy. Next, we have scalable performance. So you're able to really switch out the different types of accelerators that are needed and really optimize your configuration for your deployments. So whether it be additional AI accelerators or even higher performance accelerators, you're able to do that with the PCI Gen 5 expansion. Next, we have the SmartNIC edition as well. So on top of having AI accelerators, you can also switch it out for more virtualization or networking purposes, which is really great for the PCIe Gen 5 architecture. So with SmartNICs, NGINX has also launched our very own SmartNIC called the ESN 904. It's running on the Intel Xeon D processor, as well as providing up to two 25 gigabit SPF 28 ports. This is really important because as data becomes higher and higher in variety and capacity, you really need the bandwidth to process and send all this network through the server. So with these smart NICs, you're able to really offload different types of CPU workloads. You're able to maximize data flow across the network to really let the CPU do its own thing so that the smart NIC can take over and run it. You can really think the smart NIC as a mini server within a server. So it really does a lot of the heavy lifting so that the CPU can just work on even more important tasks. Network bandwidth optimization is really important with the SmartNIC because you're able to really free up those CPU resources and let the SmartNIC handle all the network processing, virtualization tasks, as well as packet management directly on the NIC. Next is efficient total cost of ownership. With the SmartNIC, you're really able to integrate into new or existing solutions that have been powered, that allows you to power as an independently managed coprocessor. So you're not needing to switch out with a new CPU and incorporate different types of architectures or expansion. You can just use a SmartNIC to really offload all that data from the CPU and into the SmartNIC. Moving to OCP NIC 3.0 expansion, both the EIS servers series supports dual OCP NIC 3.0 expansion. Uh, this really allows the EAS servers not only to support SmartNICs, but also the OCP NIC as well. Since the OCP NIC is very ultra compact, you're able to really leverage its capabilities at the very bottom of the server there, as you can see in the picture. And it can support up to 44 to 100 gigabit network bandwidth. And it really allows you to really combine all this high density data and networking within a very compact footprint. Next, we have hot swappable NVMe U.2 drive bays. Like I said before, the 1U supports up to 12 hot swappable bays as well, and the 2210, the 2U version, supports 24. And this is really important because servers really need all that data to be stored somewhere in some place. And with redundancy becoming very, very essential in a data center and enterprise environments, it also incorporates Intel VRock, which is a built-in software RAID capability that is powered through our Intel Xeon 6 processor. So if you don't really need a hardware RAID card to manually do all the RAID redundancy and all the data redundancy, you can utilize the processor, the Intel Xeon 6 processor, to handle all the software RAID. As for power redundancy, EnGenius has the support for two 2,200 watt PSUs with a titanium grade 96 efficiency. And this is really important because data centers are looking to become more power efficient and utilize very little resources as possible without so high performance, low power usage, basically. And you're able to really leverage that performance per watt ratio. On top of redundancy, the PSU utilizes two of them. So if one happens to fail, you're able to really have the second one kick in and ensure that the EAS server is running efficiently even when power is out. And as for security, the DC or OCP has created the DC SCM module, which really allows the TPM 2.0 to be incorporated into the module itself. So TPM 2.0 is a hardware-based security to safeguard keys and enable trusted boot and protect against unauthorized system modifications. It also has Intel PFR inside of it, which is at a firmware level to protect the root of trust and basically detect if there's any unauthorized updates and ensure rapid recovery. As for physical security, we also have chassis intrusion detection, and this really monitors and records any chassis access to strengthen physical security and compliance, as well as to make sure that there's accountability and traceability whenever the server, its lid is uncovered. And now that's basically the entire key feature list of the EAS server series, hardware level side. With the hardware and the server itself, we really need to talk about the software that's included with EnGenius's Data Center Controller, or EDCC. And this really allows enterprise IT professionals to be able to monitor and access and diagnose different types of server requirements or server topology. So you're able to really see the different types of needs that that enterprise IT professionals are looking for. So outside of the hardware itself, we're going to talk about EDCC. For the EDCC, it is a license-free server management platform that EnGenius provides with the EAS server, and it's perfect for centralized monitoring and control access nodes, bulk firmware updates, and it really allows you to be able to see multiple servers and your data center all in one user interface. By using the DC-SCM module like I talked about earlier, you're able to leverage the BMC module, and you're going to be able to get out-of-band monitoring, control, and troubleshooting. So you're able to remotely access the server without actually being on site. The server management platform itself is Redfish-based, so it's using the standards of API for streamlined automation, interoperability, and remote management. And also it's a Docker container, so it's really easy and lightweight for flexible, scalable integration into existing data center workflows, or just to really incorporate into different types of servers. And just to talk about how you're going to see the EDCC, it's going to look very familiar to our previous kind of cloud networking platform, but this one's specifically for servers. On the left here, you can see the dashboard, which allows you to see all the different types of servers that we have, as well as how much memory and storage that is available. You're able to see the different types of timelines and recent activity so that you can monitor and make sure that all the servers are working properly. On the right, you can see the node summary, which is allowing you to see an individual node, all the telematics and customization that you can make on it, as well as the bottom right, the node list, which allows you to select multiple nodes and update or configure all the different types of servers simultaneously without having to click every single node. Next, we have the pod topology view, which really allows the enterprise or organization to see how their data center is set up through the server rack or where the server is being placed. So this really allows the professional, the technician to see the the servers and configuration without having to actually manually be there and check and verify the servers. They can visualize it and see it and diagnose it right there on their pod topology view. Moving on to deployment use cases, now that we kind of really understand how EDCC works, as well as the EAS servers themselves, let's dive into the deployment use cases for the EAS server. So the EAS server is really designed for three primary application domains. First being the AI and high performance computing category. This includes training large AI models, running inference engines, and handling workloads like simulation and modeling. The EAS 2210 is really built with the GPU and accelerator capacity, and the EAS 2110 really supports the capabilities for light AI workloads or any type of lighter AI inferencing capabilities. So enterprises can really deploy LLMs in private clouds and have full control and over their data for any type of workloads that are AI related. Second, we have virtualization and cloud infrastructures. With the support of PCIe Gen 5 NICs, Smart NICs, as well as OCP NIC 3.0, the EAS servers provides the throughput and scalability for private and hybrid cloud environments. This makes them ideal for running large-scale virtual machines, containerized workloads, as well as cloud-native applications, ensuring agility without sacrificing control. And the third use case is really databases and analytics. The EAS servers really shines here by providing high-density NVMe storage, large memory support, whether it's relational databases like SQL, or any type of NoSQL platforms like MongoDB, or enterprise applications with CRM or ERP systems. The EAS servers provides both the reliability and performance needed to power business critical analytics. So as you can see here, the EAS servers really provides a multi-dimensional platform that really can be catered and customized to meet these three workloads, or if any more, that are more niche. So that's basically a very high-level overview of the EAS server series that have come out with Ingenious. And that is kind of what we have here for an end-to-end solution from AI cameras to networking to the actual compute themselves. So I would like to open up the panel for Q&A. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. We'll answer them at the end of this webinar and also through an email or any type of additional resources.